Hello, I am doing the extra chapter for Same Kind of Different as Me, and I'm Jasmine Cassidy. I decided to write this extra chapter after looking at the overall theme of the book and the connections that Miss Debbie, Mr. Ron, and Denver had, and also through the talent that Denver learned as he became closer with Mr. Ron. And it's about a mural that he had a dream about, or more an image that he had a dream about, um, where he paints it, and he paints it on the wall of the mission where he had met Debbie and Ron. On the 10-year anniversary of Mrs. Debbie's death, I woke up from a dream crying when I realized what I had just seen. I immediately picked up a pen and paper and began writing what I had seen. After about a page and a half, I realized that words couldn't express the emotion of what I could see. Later that morning, I had breakfast with Mr. Ron. We went to that diner he took me 2 years ago. We talked and cried and laughed about the times we had when we first met and how Mrs. Debbie brought us together. Just when we were getting ready to pick up the check, I pulled out the paper I had written on from my dream that morning. I was reluctant to share with Mr. Ron because of how emotional it would make me. After a look of confusion on his face, I handed him the paper and he began to read. We sat there in silence as he read, with an expression I couldn't quite understand. I knew that writing wasn't exactly my strong suit, but he was looking like he was reading something in a different language. Finally, he looked up to me with tears in his eyes and said, "Denver, people need to see this." I was a little confused. "See this? What do you mean?" He then handed the piece of paper back to me and looked me in the eyes, with tears now streaming down his face. "You need to paint this." After breakfast that day, Denver and I went to visit Debbie. It was wonderful that even after 10 years, I could still feel the connection of friendship with Denver. After we left, we drove by the mission. That's when it hit me. I knew exactly where Denver needed to paint his mural. There. Paint it there. I worked on that mural for months. It probably drove people nuts by how slow it was coming along, but it needed to be perfect. Painting that mural made me feel like I was with Mrs. Debbie again. On the day I finished, I was worried. I knew how important this needed to be. I was afraid that I wasn't doing Mrs. Debbie justice. When Mr. Ron arrived to see the finished mural, he didn't say a thing. When I arrived at the mission to see Denver, I saw that he had finished the mural. I had seen the progress from when he first started, but after about a month, I kept myself from looking so I could see it all at once. When I did, I was speechless. Finally, Denver spoke up. "So, do you think she would like it?" "No, Denver. I know she loves it." That's the end of the chapter. I didn't really want to describe what exactly the mural is. It's kind of up for interpretation, but it's supposed to be strong and something that we can't exactly imagine, but it's supposed to be a mural of Mrs. Debbie and the way that she made Denver feel, but also the way that she made Mr. Ron feel and how she impacted everyone's life. And I couldn't exactly describe that in a chapter. So that's how it ends.